Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 978 to 979 for the 28th to 29th of October, also known as the SITREP, the Situation Report. And I just have to say, the Ukrainian forces, in many ways, we can say that they are being routed over in the Donetsk front. The front line is collapsing so fast that if I don't be reporting like almost every 12 hours at least, yeah, it would be like impossible to keep up because of the speed of the changes. And major captures has been announced and or declared, and we're going to go through them. So to reach Donetsk faster, of course, we will go through the counterclockwise direction. So over at the Kherson front, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry still mentioned about some attacks in the Dnipropetrovsk direction. There is shelling reported over the past 2 days at Veletenske, Komishany, Antonivka, and Mikhailske. But otherwise, this is a sleepy front, so nothing to really talk about. Over at the Zaporizhia front, there is shelling reported at Belenke on the 28th, not very important. There is fighting reported towards Novodmyrivka on the 29th. But otherwise, there is no other fighting. So it is correct that there is no major actions over in the Zaporizhia front. And we move on to the main front line. There is nothing over at the Velika Novoselydivka sector. This area is pretty quiet. So now we go into the routed place. This is one of the places that is routed. There's two places. So one is over in the Selydove region. The other one is over this area here, across this previous known as the Voleda line. It's no longer a Voleda line. The Voleda is very far away. Like nobody talks about Voleda anymore. Voleda is not an important town or settlement at all. Like what's Voleda? Nobody knows what Voleda. So it's a very bizarre situation where we went from a point where Voleda was like the fortress city, it cannot be penetrated and destroyed, and then we really forgotten what's Voleda. Just like Adiyevka. What's Adiyevka? Is it food? Is it cookies? So there's so just some general sense of the strategic situation. Fighting is reported towards Rizdone, fighting at Shakhtarske, Yasna Polyana, Novoukrainka, Bohoyavlenka, Hirnyk, and Antonivka. There's also fighting reported towards Dane, but that's another front line. Shelling is reported at Izmailivka, and there is a few major stuff that happened. Novoukrainka has fallen to the Russians. This is confirmed by Ukrainian mapping, and Bohoyavlenka, of course, is captured. So we'll just go into details a bit. Rozdone was reported by the Russian Defense Ministry is probably just shelling. So we go into this Shakhtarske region first. So there is 3 different geolocations that marked the Russian forces advance from the Shakhtarske region. And they have indeed advanced quite a bit in the latest mapping by the Ukrainian side. This is by Deep State UA. This is the latest information. Ukrainian map that the entire of Yasna Polyana has almost entirely fallen to the Russians. There's only a little bit of Yasna Polyana left. This town is going to be captured. Similar situations over in Shakhtarske region. We still do not have confirmation that the Russians have fully conquered Shakhtarske. There's still a little bit of possible Ukrainian areas left, but it's essentially effectively the 2 towns is already lost at this moment. So that's all from this area here. So over in Novoukrainka, this is interesting because coming from the Ukrainian side, the Russians did not report this. The Russian forces have captured the entirety of Novoukrainka. This is reported by Deep State UA, the pro-Ukrainian source, with the Russians fully capturing Novoukrainka. Previously, the last update that we have, they only captured around 2/5 of it. So now the entire of the settlement is now captured. Very, very significant frontline changes around here. And from Yasna Polyana, the Russians of course can then hit to Izmailivka in 2 sides, so things is going to collapse continuingly. So another big update is over at Bohoyavlenka. So based on the latest geolocation and mapping from the Ukrainian side and as well as from the pro-Russian side, the Bohoyavlenka is already firmly under Russian control. This is already confirmed. is announced also by the Russian Defense Ministry on the 29th yesterday. And in the latest Ukrainian mapping, the Russians have even pushed up north from Bohoyavlenka. They are not stopping, maybe because there is literally not much fighting for them to do. So they are just pushing and pushing and pushing. So until they're going to hit Ukrainian contact. The fact that they're going through the forest so quickly means that there is actually probably no Ukrainians in the forest region. And I believe that this entire salient right now, this entire area here, there's totally no Ukrainian forces at this moment. This is what I think. So we're going to see some massive frontline changes in the next 24, 48 hours, closing all these salients, all this bulge. I think this is all going to be all these pockets. It's all going to be closed up. And with this push up along the river, up north from Bohoyavlenka, they are pushing towards Selydove, which is the next town. And this is, of course, pretty bad for the Ukrainian forces. And I don't think they're going to defend here, because if they can't defend Bohoyavlenka, I don't think they can defend Selydove. It's not a better position. In fact, they should have defended in the forest, and they did not. So it's going to be very bad. And fighting is already reported at Selydove, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. For the first time, there is fighting reported, or not the first time, for the fourth time, there is fighting reported over here. And as I mentioned before in the conclusions, in the analysis, Uzmailivka is the prime target, and capturing of Uzmailivka will just collapse the entire front line. So do check out the conclusions, the last conclusions, if you go and look for it on this channel, on the DPA main channel. So over at the Hirnyk region, the Russian Defense Ministry has announced yesterday that they have captured Hirnyk. So the Russian forces is now currently attacking Antonivka. So we only have the one geolocation of Russian forces right in the center. There's not clear indication that they have conquered Hirnyk yet, but there's a high chance most likely this is the case because of the front line. The way how the front line is being shaped, the Ukrainians would have to retreat to at least Yasna because there's no way they can stay over here. So the capture of Hirnyk is most likely the case, most likely 100% true. And so this is likely the situation over here. And for the first time in a long time, we have no fighting being reported at Konstantinivka, or not actually a long time, just a few days ago. So over in the Kurakhove sector, this is Kurakhove. So this area here, Russian forces are fighting towards Dalny over here. There's fighting reported at Izmailivka. And geolocation of Russian forces moving towards Kurakhove already. And this comes also with the invalidation of everything around Ostrivsky, because there is no way the Russians are here and the Ukrainians are staying at Ostrivsky. Just not possible, because there's only one bridge to cross over. So I think the Ukrainians definitely 100% will have withdrawn to Kurakhove already. And with this attack, with this latest geolocation, they have basically entered into Kurakhove itself and basically bypass all the defenses, because there's a defense around here, there's a fortress around here, and all the other entrenchment is facing southward. So if we zoom out, you can see that Kurakhove is heavily defended. I used another color. You can see that this is the entrenchment. It's very intricate, a lot of defenses. You can see this is all the defenses, and the Russians just went from the. Yeah, it reminds me of the Malayan battle for Malaya and Singapore in World War II. The Japanese just walked through the softest part. Bad memories. Actually, not true, because I have no memory. I don't live in the era. So, and anyway, yeah. So that's the current situation at Kurakhove. Over in the Hirnyk region, the Russian forces has announced. The Russian Defense Ministry has announced the capture of Hirnyk. And this confirmed the Ukrainian information of the capture of Hirnyk by the Russian forces. The Russian forces continue to expand their control around Hirnyk, and the Russians continue to attack. Kurakhivka is now surrounded on 3 sides, with the Russian forces also to be reported by the Ukrainian side to have captured everything southeast or east of Oleksandropil. They still have not conceded the southern part of Oleksandropil yet. Russian forces are also fighting at Zoryane. Fighting is reported at Stepanivka and Ilinka. So, and fighting is reported at Izmailivka, according to the Russian side. But this is basically talking about the capture of Izmailivka. Fighting is now ongoing over at Novoselydivka with the Russian forces on the verge of capturing the town. Fighting is reported at Kremina Balka as well as Voznesenka. And you can see this envelopment is coming. This envelopment is coming. So, and with this close, this Kharkivka, it doesn't matter what kind of magic weapons they use to defend the city, they will be encircled, and then they will not, they will just die from lack of food eventually. So I think the Ukrainians have some tremendous pressure to just withdraw. But if they withdraw, then the northern part, the bridge towards Kurakove, over here, the bridge over Kurakove will be exposed, and there's this bridge around here. Yeah, this bridge will be exposed. So yeah, the Ukrainians is going to have some very, very difficult the divisions to make. The distance from let's say from the current point of Novoselydivka to that reservoir is around 5.56 kilometers. Still pretty far. They still have good chance of running away to some better defense line for the Ukrainians. But yeah, but things is not looking good already. Russian Defense Ministry on yesterday's report also reported shelling at Sonsivka. You can also read this as a possible attack. I just want to say it's not necessarily just shelling. So because it's very near to where the front line is, so we move up north to the Selydove region. So the Russian forces have entered into Novodmyrivka, and they have also attacked and captured one of another heavy fortifications. There's still more, but I think the Ukrainians will really want to reconsider whether they want to stay in these positions. So the Russians are pushing heavily around here. Fighting is also reported in the direction of Novoselydivka. Fighting is reported at Vishneve, Kharkivka, and of course then we have to talk about Selydove. So Selydove is particularly interesting. So we have the announcement of the capture of Selydove by the Russian Defense Ministry, and this is also mentioned by Ryba, most likely referring to the Russian Defense Ministry report. But there is multiple geolocations. So there's one geolocation in the north, confirming the Russians are coming in the northern direction. So we're talking about only confirmed captures, and Russian forces also geolocated on the main exit, the main road. So they have basically closed the exit. There's no way out of Selydove right now, because the Russians also were here. There is no way out anymore. Basically the gap between the I pressed the wrong button. The gap between the 2 points is only 1.1 kilometers, which means that no matter where you run, you can be gunned down by the machine gun. So there is the gap to exit here is just too small. This is the only gap. So the Ukrainian forces, if they are still here, they are actually encircled, which is actually around here. This is actually the current one, because based on the latest Ukrainian mapping, they have considered this entire center part of Selydove has fully captured by the Russian forces. All this area is now captured. So I need to delete the blue one. I messed this up. Yeah, so it's like this. So the Russian forces geolocated in south, confirming they are here. So yeah, so the entire Selydove region is now terrible. So I just want to mark out again, this area here is still not fully under Russian control. It's on the Ukrainian mapping, this gray zone. So, but of course, we all know what gray zone means. That means there's no Ukrainian forces there. Or maybe there's a few that they left behind and died. So whatever it is, the Russians are coming down from the north already. The entire main part of the city, has been all fully captured. And so this is the current situation. There is no exit anymore. So any running through of this gap will still be highly hazardous to health. So this is the Selydove region. I believe that within the next 24 hours, I will be declaring the capture of Selydove, because I want to follow our methodology. Although I personally think that Selydove is gone. It's already captured by the Russian forces, and the fighting is already moving on. So yeah, so that's it. Selydove is being captured with minimal damage to the city. So it looks like this is becoming a trend. Fighting in the city is no longer, doable for the Ukrainians. Looks like they do not have the kind of soldiers to fight urban warfare that much anymore as compared to the days of the Bakhmut, which is why Battle of Bakhmut is such a disaster for the Ukrainians, because it's a massive waste of quality troops. So the Wagner private military contractors basically did their job. Russian forces are fighting in the Pokrovsk direction, in Promin, Minokhrad, Krutia, Novoselydivka, as well as Lisivka. There is still fighting around here, but I feel like this is not the main push, and they are not pushing that hard. I got a feeling, but of course, it could also be a result of the Ukrainians just defending much harder around here, because like I said before, I just realized I said because many times, but Pokrovsk is super important. This is a major transport hub. Fighting cannot reach the outskirts of Pokrovsk. You don't even need the Russians to conquer Pokrovsk. Just simply be next to it would just render the city pretty much handicapped. It's the same thing happened to Bakhmut. Bakhmut is also a major transport hub, a major logistic hub for the Ukrainians. And when the battle reached Bakhmut, Bakhmut basically have lost its purpose. It went into depression. So and it needs psychiatric help. So there's fighting reported at Myrilivka, but that's about it. And since then they changed their name to Artemovsk. So there's shelling reported at Tarasevka, not important, and Mykolivka, also not important, because these are just shelling reports. Over at the New York front, this is New York front, and New York is over here. So at the New York front, there's fighting reported over and in Toretsk, in the Zabalka region, Skibinivka, Leonidivka, as well as Sukabalka. So these are reported in such, but there is very minimal push from the Russians, I feel, despite all these arrows. The only difference in terms of mapping is the Russian mapping from Ryba actually claimed this area here. Previously, Ukrainian forces was geolocated around here. In Ryba's mapping, in the pro-Russian mapping, this area here, just as per DPA's mapping, similarly, Russian forces is possibly here. So that's about it. The current situation looks like this. This salient remained, surprisingly. So we move into Bakhmut. So in the Bakhmut front, this is Bakhmut. And at the Bakhmut front, the fighting is reported over at Orikovo-Vasilivka, towards Makove, geolocation of Russian forces at Kharkiv, Chasivya, and Stupovsky. And Stupovsky is the major one around here. There's shelling reported at Semyonivka, by the way. At Stupovsky, Russian forces has been geolocated in a new location, signaling the Russian continued push along the highway down towards the direction of Stupovsky. So I should use the another color. Yeah. So this is currently happening right now. Progress is decent. Based on the Ukrainian mapping, Russians progress around almost 900 meters. But yeah, it's pretty slow when you compare to the rest of the front line. But there is no reason for the Russians to push so hard around here, because then you have this monster of a city called Konstantinivka. But anyway, we shall continue to monitor how this goes. And we move on. There is fighting reported at Zelynyansky as well. So this is part of the northern part, Orikovo-Vasilivka, Zelynyansky towards Makove. Yeah, but this is very sporadic. I don't think there's something major. We move into the Sivas front. At the Sivas front, fighting is reported at Selydove, Bilohorivka, Verkhanokanyamsky, Ivano-Darivka, Sivas, as well as Zvanivka. But looks like a lot of arrows, but I don't trust the Russians on Sivas anymore. I don't think they're going to make any push. The Ukrainian defense here is super good. So that's all for Sivas. Over at the Kremina front. At the Kremina front, there is fighting reported at Dibrova, Torske, Zarishny, Yampolivka, and Terny. Similar situation. Usually a lot of arrows, but not much progress around here. And we move on to the southern part of the Selydove front. This area here is getting a bit hotter now. Fighting is reported at Novoselydivka, Skinnerchina, Chernishkina, Druzelubivka, Khrekivka, Novomyrivka, as well as Nevsky. And you can see this is basically the entire front line push. They're pushing through the entire front line. So this is getting a bit hot, but we shall see how this goes, because I wonder if this is like they're taking advantage of the routing in the Donetsk front to push over here. There is a possibility. Over in the Pischane front, there is fighting reported. Let's say, okay, let's cover this part first. This northern part of the Selydove front. Fighting is reported over at Petrov-Travneve. Geolocation of Russian forces at Andriivka. And then there is shelling reported at Boriska, Andriivka. And then we move further up north. Okay, so this is the Pischane front. This is Pischane. And at the Pischane front, yeah, this area here is also getting very intense. This is one of the major Russian focus as well. Fighting is reported over at Berestove, Stemekivka towards Lozova. South of Pischane, south of Pischane, fighting is reported at Kuliakivka. They are pushing south towards Zarizove. And the Ukrainian Defense Ministry for the first time talk about fighting in the area of Bohuslavka. So there's a possibility that the Russians have already rushed southward. Fighting is reported at Kolesnikivka and towards Novoselydivka. There's also fighting reported at Senkove as well, probably nearby or something. So the Russians are definitely pushing in all directions over here, and I think the Ukrainians is on the verge of getting routed in this area. I think that tactically, this is becoming impossible to defend for the Ukrainians. So this is what I think. So if in terms of front line, the Russian forces basically have taken the highway out from the bridge. So the Russian forces basically controls one end of the bridge already. They are pushing towards Zarizove, and further up north we have the frontline changes moving towards Kolesnikivka as the Russian forces continue to close down on this other settlement, which is protecting the southern part of Kupiansk. So as we move up this road, you can see that after Khrushchevka, they are moving to Novoselydivka, then Kisharivka, and then you reach Kupiansk Vyslovy, and then next is Kupiansk. So this chain of settlements is very important for the protection of Kupiansk. So that's the current situation. In the Kupiansk front, fighting is reported as Stepova, Novoselydivka, Petropavlivka, Sinkivka, and Holubivka. So and then there's geolocation of Russian forces in the forest, but it doesn't change our front line. So that's all from the Kupiansk front. Moving into the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, we have fighting reported over in Lipsy and Voschansk. This is the usual one. The unusual one is the fighting reported at Okremivka as well as Hoptivka. So this too is probably diversions, but we shall see how the Ukrainians react to this. Yeah, the Ukrainians are getting stretched everywhere, so that's quite depressing, I guess, for the Ukrainians. Over at the Kursk front, there's nothing over in the Glushkovo sector. The Ukrainians were reportedly regrouping over there. There's still clashes around here. In the southern flank, the Russian forces are fighting at Blekovo. Ukrainian forces are reportedly counter-attacking. Geolocation of a Russian airstrike on the Ukrainian forces in the eastern part of Blekovo, confirming Ukrainians still have their position around there. Further up north, there is geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting hit by FPV drone just off Kamalkov, confirming Ukrainian presence in this area here. And there's nothing over in the northern flank. It went quiet except for one geolocation of an FPV drone attacking a Ukrainian tank that is defending this point. So the tank is allegedly destroyed, but you can see that Ukrainians are still defending in the north. And then we have the main battlefront in the Kursk front. So in this, the Russian forces are fighting in the Novoivanovka, Zelenishai, Liznin Klin, Darino, as well as Nikolaevo Dalino. Ukrainian forces are attacking at Alexandria direction, Novoivanovka, as well as Darino. And of significance was the geolocation of Ukrainian forces in Darino. They're getting hit by Russian airstrikes. And this confirmed that the Russian claims of capture of Darino most likely is not true. The Ukrainians most likely have still control around Darino. So this caused the frontline change around here. Another geolocation is airstrike just off Viktorovka. So Ukrainian forces are definitely defending this area as well. So otherwise, strategically, yeah, this is pretty pointless. So anyway, that's it. We finally covered everything. A pretty long report because a lot of stuff happening in the Donetsk direction. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you watched to this point, if you're not subscribed, yeah, you need to pay your bills. No, so subscribe. No, subscribe. And thank you for watching. Press the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next. And yeah, conclusions. You can check out this conclusion. There's analysis that is still relevant today. And I'll see you guys in the next update.